You're listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.
If you're building in deep tech, defense, quantum, space, bio, Korea's government just signaled it wants to be your investor, not just your grant giver. A new special law for future security innovation companies could be law before the end of this year. Meanwhile, Kurly's earnings show consumer tech IPOs can still work if the numbers back it up. And in the crowded fortune-telling app market, the winners aren't the ones with the best AI. They're the ones with the best content. It's Thursday, August 13th. Let's look at what this means for startups and entrepreneurs in Korea. Korea's government has mostly acted as a grant giver for R&D, leaving early-stage risk to private VCs who've grown cautious amid tighter markets. At the same time, global competition in dual-use technology, drones, defense AI, quantum, space, is accelerating, pushing Seoul to look at models like the US's In-Q-Tel and companies like Palantir and Anduril. Consumer tech, meanwhile, is proving that differentiated content and clear profitability, not just novelty, are what get startups to a real IPO track. Here's what the numbers show. The Special Act on Future Security Innovation Companies aims to pass the National Assembly this year, with implementation targeted for as early as next year's second half by compressing the usual one-year rulemaking period to 6 months. The government named drones and robotics, defense AI and semiconductors, sensors and future materials, space and aviation, and cybersecurity and quantum communications as its 5 priority dual-use fields. Seoul set a target of building 5 companies worth over 1 trillion won and 50 companies with over 100 billion won in revenue by 2030. 10 trillion won over 5 years. The R&D budget earmarked for critical minerals and components under the government's separate 7 Seed plan will flow through joint public-private investment vehicles where the state takes equity stakes rather than just handing out grants. Kurly posted 27.4 billion won in operating profit for the second quarter, a 20-fold jump from a year earlier, on revenue up 27% to 734.8 billion won. 124 million combined monthly active users, tallied across 5 AI-enabled fortune-telling apps last month, underscores how differentiated content, not raw AI capability, is now the competitive edge in that category. So what does this mean for startups and entrepreneurs in Korea? Earlier, we said Korea's government wants to be your investor in deep tech. Here's what that actually means for you. If you're building in defense AI, quantum, space, or advanced bio, direct equity investment and a compressed 6-month regulatory timeline could arrive well before 2027. The lesson from Kurly and the fortune-telling apps is the same for any sector. Investors and users alike are now rewarding businesses that prove real margins or genuinely differentiated experiences, not AI as a checkbox feature. If your startup sits outside these 5 priority fields, the message is less encouraging. Funding and policy attention are visibly concentrating around dual-use tech and proven profitability consumer plays. Here's what to watch. First, whether the special act clears the National Assembly before year-end, which would start the 6-month countdown to implementation. Second, the launch structure of Korea's In-Q-Tel style venture arm, now being set up under the Korea Venture Investment Corporation. Third, Kurly's next steps toward an IPO, following a May funding round that valued the company at 2.8 trillion won. That's today's AI Prism, Founders. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI Prism is a Won IFRA award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.